about top 8 threats to global economy in 2024, or how I like to call it, a pessimist guide to global economic risk in 2024. It's the year of the soft landing and of interest rate cuts that will support growth and markets around the world. Surrounds a upbeat conventional wisdom about the global economy in 2024. What could possibly go wrong after years marked by war, pandemic, and bank collapse? It hardly needs saying a lot. That includes, but is not limited to, the following. The first threat is the Middle East is on the brink. After more than 3 months, Israel's war in Gaza has brought the region to the brink of wider conflict with the potential to choke off oil flows, take a chunk out of global growth, and push inflation higher again. That kind of energy supply disruption hasn't happened yet, and markets are betting it won't. But the risk is rising. Second on the list, the Fed could get burned again. That would be a bad news for the Federal Reserve and for investors betting on early and aggressive pivot to rate cuts. There's two ways 2024 could see a repeat, albeit in miniature. One involves a supply shock, a real possibility if an escalating Middle East conflict hits oil prices and shipping lanes. The other would stem from looser financial conditions, with the 5-year Treasury yield down more than a percentage point from its October high. The next one is, while Europe feels the chill. In the US risks running its economy too hot. The opposite is true of Europe. The European Central Bank and Bank of England are at the end of their most aggressive tightening cycles in generation. Run their hikes through any macroeconomic model and it spites out a clear forecast, deep recession. Of course, the models may be wrong. Forecasting through the pandemic and Ukraine war was always going to be a challenge. But there's another possibility. Monetary policy famously operates with long legs. In Europe, the big hit may be yet to come. Good news for China. The rise of electric car makers is also bad news for Germany, because Volkswagen AG and its compatriots fear that Chinese rivals such as BYD are in their lane. But on the other hand, China looks wobbly. The world's second largest economy enters 2024 with growth already heading south. The post-pandemic recovery has fizzled, and steady drip of stimulus has failed to fill the vast hole left by a slumping property sector. Bloomberg Economics' base case is that Beijing will ultimately deliver enough support to stave off collapse, with growth for 2024 forecast at 4.5. That would be down from last year and far below the pre-pandemic norm, but not disaster. Japan risks losing control. Yield curve. In Japan, 2024 is said to be the year when the under new management central bank ditches yield curve control, the policy it used to peg long-term interest rates at rock bottom levels. Bloomberg Economics sees the Bank of Japan moving toward an exit in July, keeping policy setting accommodative but removing the lock on yields. Careful signaling to the market increases the odds it will go smoothly. If it doesn't and the yen spikes, carry trades could unwind rapidly with an exodus of funds from US treasuries and other higher yielding assets. Game-changing elections in Taiwan. In Taiwan, last weekend's presidential vote saw Vice President Lai Ching-te win by a narrow margin, granting his ruling Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) an unprecedented third term. Mainland China's immediate reaction was muted, stopping short of major military exercises or economic measures. A war is an extreme scenario. Higher stress stopping short of conflict is more likely, exposing market champions like Apple and Nvidia that count Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation among their crucial suppliers to geopolitical risk. And let's get to a hot topic. And in the US, the most important elections of 2024 could upend calculations around the world. November's US presidential vote is shaping up as rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who's grabbed an early poll lead in swing states. Trump's return to office could bring sharp policy reversal in 2025, and markets might price them earlier. He's promised a tariff of 10% on all imports. If trade partners retaliate in kind that would shave 0.4% of US GDP, Bloomberg Economics estimates there will be more trade tension with partners like Europe and rivals like China. America's desire to lead the NATO military alliance could diminish. In conclusion, still base case isn't great. There are things that could go right. There are more that can go wrong. When before the downside risks, Bloomberg Economics base case is for global growth in 2024 of just 2.7%, that far below the pre-pandemic run rate of 3.4%, and the lowest in non-crisis years since the dot-com bubble burst in 2001. An economy that already wobbling is easy to knock off. Q&A. Questions and answers. Do you have any?
What do you think will be the biggest threat in Russian economy in 2024?
I think Russian economy is pretty stable right now, but of course, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the special military operation in Ukraine. Well, can
it can be a little tough.
Do you think it is profitable to Russia to support the conflict in Ukraine?
Where?
It is profitable to escalation of conflict in Israel is profitable to Russia?
Well, at some points, yes, it's a very powerful ally for us, of course. And if I'm not mistaken, they're a part of BRICS. So yeah. Any more questions?
Shall I ask you about who would you vote for? So if you were sorry, if you were in the USA, who would you vote for? For Donald Trump or another candidate?
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
Yeah, if I was a resident of US of A, I would vote for Donald Trump because in his previous presidency years, he had how to say, he made America great again.
Yeah.
Like he promised.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.